I'd like to read the notice of public hearing zoning bylaw amendment. Notice is hereby given to the residents of Newport, Vermont, that the Newport City Council will hold a public hearing in the Newport City Council room on Monday, April 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The hearing will be held for public review and comment on a proposed interim amendment of the Newport City zoning bylaws pursuant to Title 24, VSA Chapter 117. The purpose of the interim bylaw is to clarify and expand the range of uses allowed on the ground floor of some downtown buildings where that use is currently limited to retail, while Newport undertakes and completes a comprehensive review and amendment of its zoning and subdivision bylaws. The proposed interim bylaw will affect properties currently within the Form 1 or Form 2 form-based code districts. The full text of the proposed interim bylaw is provided below. Proposed interim bylaw. Strike 210 retail general intentions in its entire, and replace with. S210, active ground floor use. Active ground floor uses are required in the story at sidewalk level on primary streets and, to a lesser degree, on secondary streets as specified in BES 211. Active ground floor uses include any retail, dining, including drinking establishments, lodging service, including government, professional, financial, healthcare, personal, and social service uses, recreation, arts, or entertainment uses that regularly generate pedestrian traffic from customers or clients and contribute to an active street life. Where a use will be in a building with storefront windows, those window openings must be retained in a manner that enlivens the street with merchandise displays or views into an active interior space. This will not be interpreted to prevent use of interior window blinds or curtains as needed to filter light or provide privacy. Fully or partially filling in ground floor window openings will only be permitted if necessary to meet fire, safety code, or access requirements. Where an active ground floor use is maintained along the street frontage for a depth into building of at least 30 feet, interior ground floor space may be converted to a non-active, non-residential use. All references to retail, Retail 1 and Retail 2, in any of the charts and diagrams in S211 will be interpreted to refer to active ground floor use in accordance with this section. So I'd like to invite Mr. Cheney, our zoning administrator, or Mr. Manette, the head of the Planning Commission. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll just finish up.
Okay, so the purpose of this, as indicated, is that it's an interim change. It's very specific. It's reflective of the direction that we're headed in. And that direction is driven in part due to the relatively significant number of vacant buildings on Main Street and the desire to provide people with more flexibility in terms of options to fill them. Frank can fill you in with more details in terms of inquiries and so forth that we've had, and he's had conversations with building owners to the effect that the present definition is so restrictive that they've lost out on rental opportunities. The Planning Commission's view is that getting activity in those buildings is to everyone's benefit downtown, and we'd like to provide some more options. It seemed like a very specific thing that we could do that didn't need to await the complete revision. And we've proposed it specifically under the interim or temporary bylaw rule, which means that it would be in effect for a maximum of either 2 years or adoption of the revised code. So it's not like we're locking us in for the long term. And there are basically 4 criteria for you folks to consider, which basically are these. Whether the change is going to affect the capacity of existing or planned community facilities, services, or lands, existing patterns and uses of development, environmental limitations in the district, significant natural resources and sites in the district, and relationship to the municipal plan and other existing bylaws. And from the Planning Commission's viewpoint, we see the change, we see the proposed change as entirely consistent with not only the new plan, the direction in which we feel we're headed in the bylaw rewrite, but in terms of the reality of what has existed and does exist on Main Street, if you walk up and down the street and look at the nature of what's there now. And in looking at other communities who are dealing with the same struggle, excuse me, of filling their downtown spaces, given that traditional retail as we knew it a generation ago is becoming tougher and tougher, and the world of Walmart on the one hand and Amazon and every other online retailer on the other hand, we just feel like we have to give people more options. And if people don't have the options to get tenants and activity into their buildings, over the long term, their motivation for maintaining what exists, much less building anything new, is going to decline. So it's for those reasons that we propose this on an interim basis, rather than waiting, the year and a half, whatever it's going to take to get the permanent change in place. And I see that we have at least one downtown building owner on Zoom on the meeting, who may or may not have something she wants to add as well. And like I say, Frank can answer specific questions in terms of his interactions.
I appreciate that. It's very enlightening, John. Thanks. Do you want to speak first, or shall I ask Liz if she wants to say something?
Yeah, I'd let Liz go first.
Hi, Liz.
Hold on. There we go.
Hi. Would you
How
like
are
to?
you?
Good. Would you like to contribute to the conversation?
Sure, absolutely. Is this a good time for me to?
Yep. Yes, it is. Would you like to identify how you fit into the mix here?
Sure. So my name is Liz Huber. For those of you who I'm not familiar with, I own 137 Main Street, which is the building that now houses the Northern Counties Healthcare Express Clinic and used to have the UPS store. So I have those two commercial spaces on the ground level and residences above them. And I would just say, I'm sitting here in front of a letter I wrote in December of 2016 to the former zoning commissioner, Charles Elliott, about this specific issue, because my ground floor commercial spaces have taken years to fill when they come vacant. And I've outsourced that to Ryan Ponto, who I feel like has done a wonderful job trying to fill them, but there's a limited amount of folks that can go in those spaces with the retail provision. And I also think it's important to recognize that when offices and other sort of service businesses are put onto the side streets and into residential neighborhoods, that negatively impacts the potential residential rentals, and that Vermont has like the lowest residential vacancy rate in the country. And so we definitely don't want to push people, who could rent something in Newport out by having businesses in residential areas in homes that have been split up to accommodate offices. That's kind of the gist of what I want to say. I felt this way in 2016 that this provision should be expanded. I really strongly support what you folks are trying to do here today, you know, and I think the pandemic made this even worse. So I think it's really important that downtown real estate owners have this provision adopted and expanded use and are allowed. That's it.
Great, thanks, Liz.
Yeah, thank you.
So, John was very well said. Can I have the map? I think that what I'll do for you is, I want to show you guys on the map, for you that don't know, where the two form-based code areas are. That way you can have everybody can have some perspective on it. Which one, maybe this one is the best one. Zoom in just a little bit, Laura. Okay, back, there you go. Okay, so see this yellow area here with the stripe along Main Street, and then over into where Azores is and where Pauline Shed is? That's Form 1. Okay? Form 2 is right here with these slashes, this box. Okay, with these slashes this way. Those are the two areas we're primarily talking about. Now, in addition to that, these are, the retail requirements only really apply to the primary streets. Okay, and in this map, it's a little hard to see the language, but generally the primary street from School Street is this pink. Some confusion here, I think, however, I would say that it would extend all the way to here. Okay, and the black, and then this pink here. These are actually a different color and are secondary streets. So if you read the bylaw itself, both the old one and the new one, okay, the definition applies to primary street frontage. Okay, John and Liz really put it pretty well, so I won't add a whole lot. I'll let you get to questions. I've talked to multiple business owners. They're not all here. Liz is one of them. A number of real estate agents. We have a consultant named Brandy Saction who is dealing with this in a lot of different communities in relation to the dwindling of retail. All the information that I've got in the last 6 months, okay, has pointed towards high vacancies, significant turnover rates, and I think the thing that struck me the most is that in an environment where you've got residential rental rates climbing, my information from the business owners and from the real estate dealers tells me that we've been stagnant for almost a decade. Now, in the business world, that usually tells you that it's not very marketable, and it's affecting the resale values and the values of the actual building. I do think that this will expand the uses. It's really not a significant change. The form-based code philosophy doesn't change. It's just this definition. If you look at the retail 1 and the retail 2, the primary change is to allow professional and business services on the ground floor, whereas now they're generally limited to the second floor. Okay, that allows for real estate offices, doctor's offices, service industry, some non-profit associations, okay, so on and so forth. It's very limited, the amount of area that this restriction applies to, and you've seen a buildup of these services around that. And I think that you're putting these owners in a difficult position. In addition to that, and I'm not going to comment on that very much, this definition is more consistent with what was originally intended, I think. Because I read the original draft, I finally got a copy of it. And 2, with what's already there. I think it's been administered in this way in many ways. So you're not really changing. I think there's 20 parcels in the downtown area, and that, you know, in this area right here. I think 8 of them fit the definition of retail out of 20. So you're really creating a definition that is consistent with what's already there. You want, your municipal plan says you want a vibrant downtown. I think that it kind of speaks for itself, and I'm not sure who thinks that the future of retail is a box store and not online. And that makes you wonder whether the future of our downtown is really in retail. I'm happy to answer any questions, although John's better at it than I am, so you can point them to him.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
all of you, Liz included. Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain questions. Is it first from the council and then from the public, or just? Yeah. So if anybody has questions, please speak up. Any questions from online? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see. Yes.
I
Ms.
just
Triller.
just curious about the interim concept. Does that prohibit an owner from renting to someone for more than 2 years if they're worried about this only being in effect for 2 years?
No, because whoever were to go in during the 2-year period would be grandfathered when any subsequent change came along, just as businesses are grandfathered now if they came in under the pre-2015 or 16 zoning and don't happen to fit within the district that they're in now. So no, it would not have a negative effect in that sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions from people in person or online?
I guess you can close the public hearing.
I now close the public hearing, my first public hearing. Thank you very much for everything that you explained. So the regular meeting will start at 6:30, so take a 7th inning stretch or whatever you want to do for 10 minutes, and we'll be back here at 6:30. Good evening and bienvenue. I'd like to call the April 17th, 2023 Newport City Council regular meeting to order in the council chambers at 6:30. Oh, I beg your pardon, 6:20. Present are council members Mr. Charbonneau, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Vashon, and Mr. James Johnson, City Clerk Treasurer, and Miss Laura Dolgan, City Manager. I'd like to thank you all for attending tonight's council meeting. Whether you're here in person or on a link, everyone is welcome. The second agenda item is to approve the minutes of the April 3rd, 2023 regular city council meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the April 3rd meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Second made by Mr. Vashon. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion carried. Agenda item 3 is public comment. And there's no public comment, so we'll go ahead to agenda item 4. Agenda item 4 is approval of a proposed interim amendment to the Newport City zoning bylaws. I think we've heard from Mr. Cheney and Mr. Manette. Do I hear a motion to approve the proposed interim amendment to the Newport City zoning bylaws?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Vashon. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Second made by Mr. Charbonneau. Any discussion of the council? Hearing no council discussion, any more public comment? All those in favor of approving the interim bylaw amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion carried.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
now that it's finalized, is it on the website, or will it be on the website tomorrow?
Is what on the
So
website?
It's up,
Is what on, is this on the website? Right
The
here?
interim bylaw. It's here and it's on.
So that's the, I think I might have it in the email, but that's the latest and greatest.
Yes.
That's the same one I sent you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. same one.
Agenda item 5 is a motion to approve the lease agreement with Memphremagog Community Maritime, or MCM, for the snack bar at the Gateway Center, subject to approval by the city attorney, and to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. This is a renewal. Would Mr. Converse, Ms. Updike's not here?
She's coming.
She, okay. Looking for a parking space.
They're walking up.
Would you like to start by making any comments, Mr. Converse?
Well, this will be our third year of leasing the snack bar and ticket booth area for the Northern Star. And it's worked out very well before, and we're hoping we can do it again this year to help us out and help the city out, because the boat is becoming very popular, and I think it's gonna grow every year.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that, and we appreciate you being here tonight.
All right?
Do I hear a motion to approve the lease agreement with MCM as presented?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Was that you, Mr. Charbonneau? Second made by Mr. Charbonneau. Any council discussion? Hearing no council discussion, is there any public comment from those present or online? All those in favor of approving the MCM lease agreement subject to approval by the city attorney, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Oh,
Yes, Madam Mayor, so they're gonna be, can we hear about what they're gonna use the booth for besides tickets? I know the past they had a canteen. Is it gonna be the same thing this year?
I think Mr. Converse can answer that.
Yeah, the first part of it's the ticket center, and then the side towards the lake will just be a snack bar again, food, no alcohol, just food and simple food and sodas and stuff. Yeah.
About the same amount of hours that you had last year, Madam Mayor?
When the boat, ticket booth is open for the boat hours, the snack bar will be open too, yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Agenda item 6, naming the municipal building parklet. This item reappears after being tabled at the previous meeting, April 3rd, 2023. The motion to table having been made by Mr. Kevin Charbonneau and seconded by Mr. Vachon. Is there a motion to remove this item from the table?
Yeah, I'll make that motion, man.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Vachon. The motion to remove an item from the table is not up for debate or public discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
So the motion's still carried, right? Okay, motion carried. The ayes have it. Mr. Charbonneau's noted. This is a proposal to name the municipal building parklet as follows, and up for discussion. Newport Memorial Parklet, dedicated to those who have loved and served this community. Is there any discussion?
No, I have a lot.
Okay.
Number one,
Is this time when I do
yeah,
it? Okay, yeah.
you were talking of the plaque or
Mhm.
something. So my question would be, how far back do we go? I mean, it's,
Well, we'd have to talk
We've
about
had
that. We were talking about, may I describe what we
Yes.
were talking about? I think the best way I can describe what Mr. Wilson and I were talking about is if you, well, this is the best one. If you go to a high school or a golf club or any kind of thing like that where they have, I don't know, the person that made the most free throws in this year, and then the next year it goes on and on. So somebody, one or two people are put on the plaque as necessary. And I don't know the answer to that, Mr. Wilson. It's a really good question about how far back we would go. and how we would decide to put other people on it. Would it go out to the public to suggest people? I thought we would just have the generic one, dedicated to those who have loved and served the community. But I do love the idea of memorializing people who have loved and served the community. That would have to be something that we talked about and decided together. Again, it's just an idea.
So is the discussion for a plaque or naming of the parklet? Because it sounds more like a plaque.
Well, it would be a plaque that would weather all 4 seasons. I don't know if you call it a plaque. I don't know if a plaque would weather all 4 seasons, but something that could be there even when the benches are taken in for the winter. So just nothing big, just something so that, when the benches are in, dedicated to the people that they've been dedicated to, we can still remember people.
What? Not everybody that has a bench is deceased.
Mhm.
There's one gentleman, the captain, who's still alive. I guess the connotation would be with a memorial park. In my mind, it would seem like, okay, these people are passed.
Mhm.
Especially when we're using the past tense, served or loved. There are many people that continue their service and they've been recognized. That's one issue I have with it.
That's a really good point. And that could be remedied by saying Newport Parklet, dedicated to those who love and serve the community. When they were alive, they loved and served the community. Any other comments? Yes, Tom?
No disrespect to anybody that's done a lot for the city of Newport. As some of you have said, multiple people have devoted years to the city of Newport. I personally, since myself and my crew built that park, was no vision of putting up any kind of a sign in there. It kind of takes away from the look of it, personally. I think if you wanted to have people donate, just like we could use some more benches, maybe table and chairs, we could put plaques on them, or even have some bricks done. It wouldn't take away the looks of the park. The park's not that big, and you put up a sign, you're just taking away space.
I like that idea. That's a really good idea.
I don't think it should have any particular person's name on it, quite honestly. If you were gonna go that route, you can dedicate it to the Public Works crew of 2022.
So thanks for that, Tom, and everyone else who did comment, and we have one more.
I like the idea of a name for the park because it's a name to reference the park. Memorial Park might be an appropriate name, and then others say, where are we going to meet? Well, let's meet at Memorial Park.
That's another good point. Does it have a name?
No.
Just the Parklet?
I understand about plaques and agree with the bricks and benches, but maybe I misunderstood it, but I thought this agenda item was for a name.
It was originally before it was
And
tabled.
Mr. Charbonneau and I had a conversation outside at the end of the last meeting, and we're having a discussion about how difficult it is to pick a name. So something like Newport City Memorial Parklet, and then bricks, benches can come later. I just thought it was to name it. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. I need a little bit of advice from my esteemed colleague here. John, that's you.
Actually, we've thrown the thing out, let people think about it for a little bit, and then if you wanna entertain it down the road. And as for naming something, well, I'm a believer you want the public involved, put it out there as a little contest and see who, if I can get 10 votes in there, then it can be named after me. No,
Yeah.
we put it out, I just say let it go for now, and then
So how do I legally say that for a motion? Do I just
I would
say,
just say, we're gonna put this to bed for now, and then, maybe bring it back at a later date.
we're gonna put this to bed for now? And maybe bring it back at a later date. Let the minutes reflect, please.
That's good.
The next one is agenda item 7 is the authorization of the city attorney to conduct tax sale. The original motion made by Mr. John Wilson on January 9th, 2023, and seconded by Mrs. Pedersen authorized the city manager to conduct the sale. The motion language needs to reflect authorization for the city attorney to conduct the tax sale. Do I hear a motion to make the change from city manager to city attorney as authorized to conduct the tax sale?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Charbonneau. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Curtis. Any discussion? Is there any discussion, any public comment from those present or online? Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion carried. Yes.
Madam Mayor, why is it being changed?
Because it should have said the city attorney in the first place.
Okay, so it's not the word in the bylaw, it's just the word from that particular motion.
Yes. Agenda item number 8 is the National Opioid Settlement Participation. The collective defendants named as Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart. This is a global settlement which the city has optioned to join. Do I hear a motion to approve participation in the national opioid settlements?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Vachon. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Charbonneau. Any discussion? Hearing no more council, hang on. Hearing no council discussion, is there any public comment from those present or online? Yes, Ms.
I
Sherrill.
just want to be informed, do we know about how much money that entails and how, if we got money, if the city got money, how it would be distributed or what it would be used for?
I know the amount. I don't think we have an exact dollar amount that the entire settlement, it might be in here. Ms. Dolgan, do you know what the entire amount is?
It's in the
It's
millions.
23 or 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, 39.5 million. And it can also be distributed to nonprofits that are, or community programs that are already doing work. So it can pass through us to them. Any other questions? Yes.
So is pass-through money that would be done like through a grant process or?
Probably.
Laura knows the answer.
Laura, no, yeah,
Yeah.
probably,
So
okay.
you would set up a pass-through for the nonprofits and service providers that are already providing services that meet the criteria. There's a set criteria that's outlined in the paperwork. And if the council decides to approve this, there are 5 different batches of paperwork that need to be signed by those who are comfortable signing it, assuming the motion passes. We'll post this in the next batch of paperwork, so folks will be able to see what the criteria is. But it's, in my opinion, better to give it to the professionals who are already doing the service, so that we're not starting something new. We would be responsible for all the accountability. So we want to streamline it as best as we can.
Great, thanks for that. There was a question in the back?
Yeah, so if we're gonna be the pass-through for the grants, a lot of times I will put us over for a single audit because there's a threshold to meet. Who's gonna pay those administrative fees for those? Are the people receiving those monies, are they gonna help cover those costs?
Those costs would have to be outlined in our receipt of the funds.
Great question, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
So this year, the deadline is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if down the road we don't want to be part of it, we can withdraw. But if we don't go forward by tomorrow, we'll never have that opportunity down the road to get anything, so.
Any other questions? Yes.
Is the 39 million, is that the national settlement or the Vermont portion? of the
Vermont's
settlement?
portion. Mhm. Any other questions? Did you have a question, Paul? Okay, so,
You have a motion and a
yeah,
second.
motion made and seconded. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. And now Laura, I need to sign all of these.
Madam Mayor? I'm sorry, you said you didn't know how much Newport's gonna get specifically, or does it say?
It says, the city will get a share of Vermont's portion, which is 39.5 million. It doesn't say specifically what we get.
I don't have a copy of that paperwork, maybe somebody can, give me, but who decided that? And why is Newport eligible for this? Is every community in Vermont eligible?
Yes.
Based on what?
Based on the settlement that the Attorney General entered into. So the entire state gets this. The reason we don't know how much we're getting is because we don't know what Vermont communities are gonna sign on and what aren't. So we've gotta wait a little bit. We just need to put our name in the hopper.
So, Madam Mayor, so the city submits the paperwork tomorrow, then what?
At least we've expressed our interest in participating in this. And as Mr. Wilson said, we do have an option to opt out of it. But if we don't sign and submit by tomorrow, then we have no option.
I know it's mentioned, but, so is there let's talk a little bit more about what the money can be used for. Is it for treatment programs, where can it go?
There's an attachment in there. Chris, I can, instead of taking time
Yeah,
here,
it's a-
why don't I send you this material after it's signed? Trish, I'll do the same for you. Okay.
So do I sign all of these, Laura, or
I
does
think you have
each
to.
one of us sign?
I think there's a place for each one of you. There's 5 different ones.
Laura, as we go through here, it's only room for one signature, name and title.
On the back, isn't there a signature on the back? All the forms should look the same, and they all have sign here.
Yeah, just for one signature.
Oh, okay.
though. So is that me, or do I pass them all?
No, I would sign it as the mayor. Let me see, I thought that was a signature for everybody. Because we're moving 9 miles an hour.
doesn't. Rain on my parade. Do you want the whole packet back? I'll take that. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for your patience. Agenda item 9 is the annual appointment of members to the Community Broadband Communications Union District, Title 30, VSA, Chapter 82. This is a request to appoint a representative and 2 alternates to the NEK Broadband Governing Board. The meetings of the governing board will help inform our town on what we can do to accelerate service to the unserved addresses in our town and provide progress reports. Do I hear a motion for the nomination of a Newport NEK Broadband Governing Board representative?
Currently, the representative is Woodman Page. I would nominate him to continue in that role.
Thank you.
Woodman Page.
He's a rep now.
Yep.
And we can do that even without him here to
Yes.
say that's okay. Okay, thank you. So the nomination was made by Mr. Vachon. Do I hear a second for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor of Woodman Page as the NEK, to continue as the NEK Broadband Governing Board rep, say aye.
Aye.
The no, all those opposed say no. The ayes have it. We also need to nominate 2 alternates. Do I hear a nomination, do I hear a motion for the nomination of a Newport NEK Broadband Governing Board alternate 1?
I'll nominate myself.
Great. Great. So since you nominated yourself, you can't make a motion, can you? No. So do I hear a motion to nominate Mr. Vachon as the
I'll make
first
that
alternate?
motion.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Hearing, all those in favor of nominating Mr. Vachon as our first alternate, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Do I hear a motion for the nomination of an Newport NEK Broadband Governing Board alternate number 2? Can I put myself forward?
And
I
I'll make a
nominate
motion
me.
that our second alternate would be Beth Barnes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Second made by Mr. Curtis. All those in favor of nominating Beth Barnes as the second alternate, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Agenda item 10 is the possibility of releasing non-confidential materials from the council packets to the public when the agenda is released on Friday prior to the Monday council meeting. Should I say that again? Because that was kind of a long sentence about that. Okay. Is there any comments? Do I hear a motion to release the non-confidential materials at the same time the agenda is released on Friday prior to the Monday meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Charbonneau. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Do I hear any discussion from the council?
Yeah, I have some questions on that.
Mhm.
First question would be, what time is the actual agenda completed? And it's released to the public in Mr. Johnson's office? Or your own, but at 4:30, so you're really not leaving that much time. If the public gets here at 4:35, sorry about it, we don't wanna hear them. We have certain hours, and we're not gonna keep, if it's a city manager, we're not gonna keep her here longer, just to pass out what you would get Monday morning.
I think it's referring to releasing them online when
Okay.
the online agenda is released on Friday. So the non-confidential ones would be released at the same time online, not to physically
So
pick up.
there's no physical problems, meeting, something like that?
It will pose some challenges, but we'll wait and see what you do. And I need you to fill this out on the back end.
Okay.
Give it a shot.
Thank you. Any more?
Becomes too much of a hassle, I mean.
We can go back.
Go back.
Okay.
My concern is if it's only online, those people who do not have access to online still don't have access until Monday.
Laura, do a lot of people do they come in and pick up the agenda, or is it posted in the?
We post
In the
the,
post
we post the
office?
agenda in 3 places. We do not post the attachments. They're available starting at 9 o'clock.
In the city clerk's office?
Very seldom, if anybody, had ever come in and asked. Yes, I don't recall. Bruce days, call anybody coming in for that?
A few years ago, there was one person.
So we've had one in 26 years.
Thanks, Stacy. Okay, thank you. So, I suppose I should have written that to say release electronically. So we've got the motion, we've got the second. All those in favor of releasing the non-confidential materials from the council packets on Friday to the public prior to the Monday meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion carried.
So I just want to point out that the motion says on Friday. It does not give us a specific time, and that is helpful to us. So we'll continue to put the agenda out at 4:30. This is a lot of work, so we're going to need a little patience. If people have problems, they need to contact me or Becky.
Okay.
But we've got till midnight at Friday, but I'm not staying here till midnight on Friday to get this stuff out. So
Definitely wouldn't want you to, thank you. Yeah, and I'm glad we said Friday, so that it leaves a little bit of wiggle room.
we need that.
Cool, great. So moving right along, agenda item 11 is new business. Mr. Johnson, do you have any new business?
I do. So the first one I got is a vendor's permit for Green Mountain Farm to school. They have a van that goes around sometimes at lunch. They've got all the paperwork in. We're still waiting for an insurance certificate, but it's on its way. But they paid the fee and got the thing for the summer. Don't need a motion to approve that.
So you feel it's all right to do that contingent
Yeah.
upon getting the,
I won't
okay.
give the permit until the insurance comes
So, do I hear a motion to approve the vendor's permit for Green Mountain Farm to School lunchbox?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Charbonneau. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And second by Mr. Vashon. All those in favor of granting the vendor's permit to GMFTS contingent upon receipt of the insurance, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, motion carried. So that's Mr. Johnson.
in.
Mr.
Okay,
Sher, oh, so you've
yeah,
got
so
more.
Next thing I got a lot of liquor licenses need to be approved.
Okay,
I'll go down through who they are. These are all renewals, so they're just a matter of getting the New Year's. It's Family Dollar, the tobacco license, Belvedere has liquor, Having on the Hill has liquor, on liquor, West Side Deli has liquor and tobacco, Hoagie's is liquor, East Side is liquor, and Buzzy's Beverages. liquor and tobacco.
I couldn't write that
There'll be more,
fast.
there'll be more. I haven't got them all in yet, but, so, if you just make a motion to approve the liquor license as presented, the liquor licenses as presented, that'll
Okay.
take care of it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
To approve.
thank you, Mr. Wilson. So Mr. Wilson makes the motion to approve all the liquor and tobacco licenses as presented by Mr. Johnson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Charbonneau seconds. All those in favor of approving the licenses as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, motion carried.
That's it.
That's it? Great. How about you, Mr. Charbonneau, any new business?
No.
No? Mr. Wilson?
No, ma'am.
No? Mr. Curtis? Mr. Vashon?
No, thank you.
No? Ms. Dolgan, any new
No,
business?
thank you.
So I have a couple of announcements. Proudy opens the last week of April, which is very exciting. Thank you, Mr. Brown. And the waterfront opens in early May. So we have a beautiful, beautiful summer to look forward to. Next item is number 12, old business. Mr. Johnson, do you have any old business? No. Mr. Charbonneau?
No.
Mr. Wilson?
No.
Mr. Curtis?
No.
Mr. Vashon?
No, thank you.
Ms. Dolgan? And I don't have any old business. So moving on to the next agenda item, which is 13. I'd like to set the date for the next regularly scheduled council meeting for Monday, May 1st, 2023, starting at 6:30 in the council chambers. I hope you'll attend and I hope you'll bring others with you. Yeah. Agenda item 14. The council will now vote to go into executive session to discuss the appointment of a public officer or employee, Title I, VSA 3A3. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
I will make that motion to go into executive session for the appointment of a public officer or employee, 1 VSA 3A3.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vashon. Yes,
Do you expect to take any action, Madam Mayor, when you come out of executive session?
not tonight, other than to adjourn. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion carried.